Assalamu alaikum, good evening, and welcome to tonight's episode of Talking Points. I'm your host, as usual, Syed Niaz Ahmed. We have with us a very eminent scientist. He has been on the show before, Dr. Kenan Purkayastha. He is chartered scientist, chartered chemist, environmentalist, educationist, and writer based in London, Britain. He has studied at many universities in Sweden, in Japan, Thailand, Bangladesh, and Britain. He is scientific advisor and lead officer for the United Kingdom government. He is also involved on the Climate Reality Project that is headed by former US Vice President Al Gore. Welcome to the show, Dr. Kenan.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
How are you?
Yes, I'm fine.
Great to have you. Great to have you with us and great to see you again.
Yeah.
Right. This is a show that will be probably the last one before the advent of the 9th month of Islamic calendar, Ramadan. See, so just a word about Ramadan before we start. See,
Yeah.
Ramadan is considered to be one of the holiest months in Islamic calendar. It is the 9th month, and the Quran, Holy Quran, was revealed in this month. Muslims fast from morning sunrise to sunset. Sometimes in summer it becomes a very long day for us here. The month of Ramadan signifies all what Islam stands for: moderateness, thriftiness, respect, and care for others. That includes respect for your fellow human beings, the animals, and the environment. And who else but our guest today will talk our responsibilities regarding the environment. Sir, I know that you have recently suffered corona attack, and alhamdulillah, thank God, you have come out of it. Now, we'll talk about that later. Now, this coronavirus transmission, do we really know its origins? There was a lot of hoo-ha. The WHO team went to China to explore the causes and the origins and how it has started and how it has spread. How far have we come out wiser after that trip by WHO experts?
Yes. Actually, and we also know that the WHO sent an international team in China during the 14th January and the 10th February 2021. They did, and they also published a report on the 30th of March 2021. Right. And there was a particular, the specific terms of reference for this, visit to the China, and that is actually to identify the zoonotic sources of the virus and the route of introduction to the human population, including the possible role of intermediate hosts. And there are a lot of scientists on this team, and including the 5 WHO personnels. But I just go through the report, and what I have seen that Dr. Tedros, who is the Director General of WHO, and who's saying that we have not yet found the source of the virus, but he said that all hypotheses remain open. That is but the report is recommending that the recommendation is to reduce the risks of transmission of emerging pathogen from the animal to humans in live animal markets or animal product market, and who is asking for the further study. So that is from the WHO side.
Right.
But there are some independent thoughts about this. And one is, obviously, the source of this virus is from the bat, and specifically that bat is, because there are different types of bat,
Right.
but the bat that carrying this virus is a horseshoe bat. The reason for this is, actually, this type of virus already detected by the Wuhan laboratory, and they did the genetic sequencing of this virus. I can tell you the date as well. It's the 24th of July, 2013. And they identified the genetics, the sequencing of this virus. And that is available. And that genetic sequencing linked up with this horseshoe bat. Now, there are a lot of story about the intermediate steps, such as pangolin, we know, but there are some independent observation is there. The pangolin is carrying that coronavirus also, but it has got 70% genome SARS-CoV-2, not the 100%
Right.
genome. They did not find the 100% SARS-CoV-2 genetic sequencing within the pangolin. When I'm saying genetic sequencing, I'm meaning the 30,000 letter of the SARS-CoV-2. So that has not been found completely. So that raised the questions. Then probably pangolin is not the intermediate source. So where is this source? So that pathway still remain, a question mark. We don't know exactly, but the pangolin it's questionable. And latest Economist, if you look at the latest Economist that is available, which is suggesting a report.
You mean the magazine?
Yeah, magazine one. Yeah, magazine The Economist, and they are reporting one, but that is obviously also China is saying that a ship came from the Australia, which is carrying frozen food of beef, and that ship is going to the Mongolia, and on that ship, inside this frozen food, they have found SARS-CoV-2. So that is another story is emerging, that from the frozen food. So that's the reason probably who is recommending the both live animal market and also animal product market.
Right.
Both is the potential, and so we have to think about their transmission and to manage those two locations. So, but exactly we don't know.
Dr. Kannan, there is a lot of consumption of frozen meat all over the world, see. And some people are very much suspicious of frozen, particularly meat. So do you think that frozen meat can be accused, or is more likely that it can carry viruses?
That can, because there is a cell there. There is a cell there, and there is a likelihood, if it is, because if vaccine we can store the vaccine long time in a freezing conditions, then vaccine also is preparing from the virus, basically.
Right.
It's a product, messenger RNA, like Pfizer one, messenger RNA is there. So, and your this SARS-CoV-2 is actually RNA. It is not the DNA, it is the RNA. So RNA is there. So it is possible. But there are a lot of quality control system in place around the world, when people are exporting things. So,
right.
I don't know.
Can we move from China to closer to our home, Bangladesh? Things have been quiet
Yes.
in Bangladesh until a few days ago, and now Bangladesh is going into lockdown from Monday for a week.
Yeah.
And there is a great surge of people leaving cities going to the villages, rural areas. Uh, what happened and why is this sudden rise in the pandemic?
Yeah. That is because there are a lot of hypotheses. So I am thinking because the reason of the transmission in Bangladesh is a community transmission. The different countries got different types of transmission. Like UK, we have got a community transmission,
Right?
but in India, it is not a community transmission. Rather, it's a cluster of transmission. It's a different kind of transmission there. They have identified according to WHO classification. But in Bangladesh, it's a community transmission. And I am thinking the winter times, last winter time, as because people did not follow the 3C approach. That 3C means one C is the closed space, to avoid closed space. Second C is avoid crowded area. And third C to avoid the contact. So that 3C is not properly tackled. And also, there are a lot of testing going on in Bangladesh now, because it was 3,500 taka for the test, approximately.
The price for a test.
Yeah, and now government initiated a lot of testing going on, only 300 taka. People can do tests. I know a lot of my relatives, and they did the test with the 300 taka. So at this moment, there are a lot of tests going on. So a lot of identification going on. And there is a community transmission because of the avoiding the 3C. And also, the Bangladesh just coming out from the winter season.
Right.
And during winter, generally, the transmission of this virus is high. And another fourth, I'm thinking of this B117 variant. There is a possibility that the B117 variant has gone to Bangladesh from UK. It has gone many other countries, but in Bangladesh could be the potential, this B117, which we call the variant. So
yeah, there's a lot of travel between Bangladesh and the UK.
Yes, so B117, and that B117, it has got it is highly transmissible, and also it can bind strongly with this SE2 protein within the body. And it has already been found that the people with BME background has got a high level of SE2 protein. So I suspect it's a B117 is now circulating in Bangladesh. Though I have not seen any detailed genetic sequencing in the local level. Some people have reported that they have done the genetic sequencing, but I have not seen any peer-reviewed genetic sequencing in Bangladesh that identify clearly B117. But that is, I suspect, because that variant can, that can transmit very quickly, but very quickly. And there are other danger of this B117 has been identified already, because B117 has been found in the mice. It can infect mice, and if this B117 is transmitted to these wild mice, then it will come to the cat. You see, and then there is a big discussion at this moment. Then probably we have to vaccinate cat as well. Only human will not solve this problem. We also need to vaccinate a lot of.
This is about the pandemic. What about now? Let's talk about how to handle the pandemic. What's happening about the vaccines? I understand there is a shortage, and
Yeah.
But we are nearly at the end of this first segment, so when we come back, we'll talk about this shortage of, and the different vaccines and their efficacy. Thank you, VS, for being with us, and we'll be back soon after this very short break. Don't go away. Welcome back. Before the break, we were talking to our distinguished guest today, Dr. Kannan Purkayastha, about the vaccine shortage and how to handle it, and also the efficacy of different vaccines, and to add to the scare, a scare about a particular vaccine. I would rather not name it. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes, there is a lot of issue about this vaccine at this moment going on, because like AstraZeneca, they are much more in terms of licensing thing. They have licensed couple of company, like India is one of them, Serum Institute, and some other places. But Pfizer or Moderna, or they have not yet agreed to license anybody to manufacture this vaccine. So there is an intellectual property right issue there. And even though there is a COVAX program set up with the WHO, the COVAX program, and within this COVAX program, different countries should receive their vaccine. But the manufacturing delay, that is another thing, because we need 11 billion vaccine worldwide, 11 billion vaccine, and it looks like that out of 11 billions, we are able to provide, all the different pharmaceutical companies, they are able to provide at least 8 billion vaccines. But out of these 8 billion, 6 billion vaccines are already signed contract for the different countries, developed countries. So the main issue for the vaccine is unless the some historic things happen that happened in the past for smallpox type of vaccine, the WHO did 50 years ago, that they create some sort of and mainly the IPR issue. The different company they surrender their IPR issue, and so that different country can manufacture the vaccine from their population, because people need recipe for the manufacturing those vaccines, also need the intellectual property right, But pharmaceutical company that I have read different documentations, and they're saying that in order to manufacture or to develop one drug, they need to spend $1 billion. So there's a huge investment involved. So that is the reason at this moment probably.
But doesn't that also involve a huge amount of profit?
Yes, there are a lot of profit involved, and main thing is, if you look at this Moderna vaccine and Pfizer vaccine, these two vaccines, if you look at both vaccine source material is the same, but the issue is the Moderna vaccine can remain stable in high temperature, but Pfizer vaccine cannot remain stable in high temperature. But there is another advantage of Pfizer vaccine is they can use 70% less RNA material for using their for each shot. So you see, there are some knowledge there which is only Pfizer knows, and there are some knowledge which only Moderna knows. So if they could share their knowledge, then they could manufacture the huge amount of vaccine within a short period of time. But that IPR.
On that point, let me. I will request you to share your knowledge about something that you have experienced recently, that you were infected by coronavirus, and would you like to share your experience and also the benefits of how to avoid it,
Yeah.
what did you
Yes.
do, and if that can benefit our viewers. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. I thought I actually catch this coronavirus when I'm traveling to London by train. I have a nice mask, no problem with the mask, but sometimes I feel, very, uneasy or something, or I want to drink coffee or like that. So I remove my mask, I drink coffee, and then I put my mask. So that is probably I did a mistake when I look back, the benefit of hindsight. And that is probably because I went to London for a meeting, and that is probably the source, the pathway of getting it. And when I catch this virus, it's I think on 12th of November, and then generally it takes the 5 days. The incubation period is the 5 days, and then 17th of December, 17th November, I got a complete flu symptoms and pain in my whole body, and then fever came in the night times. And at that point, I did not, feel any oxygen, but.
But how did you realize? How did you realize that it was corona?
Yes, on 18th of November, I phoned, this NHS, and then they send me a kit to collect sample, and I take the samples and send it to them. And the next day, I get a text message that I have the corona positive. But I started taking the paracetamol. I request doctors to give me some sort of antibiotic. Now, I know because I've got a diabetic, so other problems. So now the issue is there is no antibiotic for the virus, because virus only work on bacteria.
Right.
So there is an different opinion between the doctors. Some say we don't give antibiotic for the coronavirus. I say you give me antibiotic because the virus will go inside, and then inside my body, bacteria will start working, and they will infect my lungs, and that happened actually.
Right.
Virus inside, and then the bacteria will spread, and they give me an antibiotic. I take the full course, 7 days gone, nothing happened. That antibiotic did not work. Then another doctor came, and then she actually changed this antibiotic and gave me a second antibiotic. Because first antibiotic was doxycycline, did not work. Second antibiotic, erythromycin. And that medicine worked when I started. But suddenly, my doctor also asked me to go to A&E because my oxygen level is fluctuating. It is going from, 80 to 83, like that. So oxygen level is not stable. It should be above 95. So because oxygen level, so they sent me to the hospital. So I went to the A&E, and I stayed there 6 hours, and then they checked my lungs, everything, chest. They found half of my chest infected, not the full. I convinced them that I'm taking antibiotic, and hopefully erythromycin will work, because I know erythromycin worked before. So erythromycins, but they also check my blood clot issue, because this is another thing happen. When you get a coronavirus infection, then blood clot can start. So they also check. They found a very
right. How long did it take for you to recover?
It take around 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Take 3 weeks. But one of the suggestions for everybody, you will find that there is no taste in your mouth. You will not find any taste. You take maybe a piece of chicken, it will look like a rubber. Chicken will be a rubber. But you have to start eating. Don't stop eating. You have to eat as much as you do, because
right.
You have to use your body immune system to fight this virus. That is the bottom line.
Well, from eating, let us move to the the next month that we are going to welcome Ramadan.
Yeah.
And that involves stopping eating during the daylight hours. Most of the able-bodied men and women will be fasting and offering prayers, extra prayers, and as the long days are going to become longer, the fasting is going to cause them more hardship.
Yeah.
Now, what does the research say? Is it safe for COVID patients, or is it safe for the general population to go without food for long hours? Will that affect their immunity?
Yes. Now, I can refer a couple of researches that happened very recently. One is the Center for Evidence-Based Medicine, University of Oxford. They did, and also the American Center for the Disease Control, and also last year WHO actually also gave us some advice about the safe Ramadan practices in the context of COVID-19. So considering those three, advisory note and some of the research paper already published about this, so I can tell that there is no evidence to suggest an adverse effect from fasting during the COVID-19 pandemic on asymptomatic healthy individuals who have previously fasted safely. That is the first recommendation. So if you have got a asymptomatic, asymptomatic case and you are a healthy person, because then fasting is okay. But if a symptomatic case, that means you are COVID, then the fasting and mainly not taking any drink or anything, it can severely dehydrate it and it will suddenly deteriorate, So that is one of the things, So these sort of patients, those who have got symptomatic and some sort of COVID symptom, or even non-COVID type of symptoms, then hydration is important.
Yep.
So in that situations, but also need to consider these comorbidity issues and other diseases. And that's the reason the Center for Evidence-Based Medicine, they have developed a risk matrix for that. They're like, so you are feeling unwell and you have COVID-19 type symptom going on, then break. So you are doing fasting, but you need to stop fastings, and you need to ensure adequate hydration. But
so drinking water is very important.
Pardon?
I said drinking water is very important.
Yes, drinking water is very important. I drink a lot of water during this, and water, orange juice, and these sort of things, because that is very important. But if you are healthy and asymptomatic, then the research is suggesting that the water balance, the negative water balance inside our body does not affect, if you have done the fasting before, So in that case, it is, and that's the reason the Center for this, the Oxford University, this Center for Evidence-Based Medicine,
right.
They have done some, research.
Right. So unless there is health problem, it is safe to fast, and one should not be worrying about COVID. Okay. Thank you very much. We have come to the end of the second segment, and we need a break here. And don't go away. We'll be back soon after this very, very short break. Thank you. Welcome back. Just before the break, we were talking to our distinguished guest today, Dr. Kannan Purkayastha, He is the lead scientist, advisor to the government on many affairs, particularly environment and sciences. Well, Dr. Kannan, there is World Health Day on 7th of April. There is World Earth Day on 22nd of April and World Environment Day on 5th of June. Within the context of COVID-19 sweeping across the continents, what are your thoughts on Earth environment today? Can we take out the environment, separate it from whatever we experience? No, we can't.
No,
We,
we can't, because environment is a very important interface
Yeah.
for our survival, and that is the reason the United Nations World Health Day, they have set up a theme this year. It's a building a fairer and healthier world. So that means COVID-19 has highlighted something, and that is highlighted the unequal world. The world is unequal. It is not the equal. In a different situations, that some people are able to live healthier lives and have access to the health services. Others don't have these sort of things. But it is possible to eradicate these sort of problems if we can work together.
Right.
As for example, if you can work our working condition, if we improve our working condition, if we change a lot of health inequities, etc., and ensure the health for all. So that is our World Health Day. And in that day, my particular suggestion, and I'm going to write as well, my particular suggestion is to like satellite. We have got a satellite observatory all over the world. So we set up health observatory as well all over the world. We need a health observatory, like satellite observatory. So this is the World Health Day. And World Art Day this year also related to the COVID, and they're saying that the main theme is restore our art, because there is a suspicion that this virus actually, there is a pathway of this virus. We have disturbed this nature, and this virus emerged and then jumped to the
Right.
human, So therefore, restore our art. And as a part of that theme, there are a lot of activity planned all over the world. And I like the reforestation activity, regeneration of activity, and equity and environmental justice, cleanup, and all sort of things are going on. Then we have got a 5th June coming, our Environment Day, World Environment Day. And that day, also, the main theme this year is ecosystem restoration. They become much more converged toward the ecosystems. Because we need to grow trees, greening cities, rewilding our garden, to keep wild there.
Right.
The changing our diet, clean up rivers, our coastal areas, and make peace with nature. That is our main theme. And the important thing is there are a lot of interesting things going on all over the world. And faith-based organizations, they are also doing a lot of work for the restoring the nature. I can cite some of the examples. As for example, the church in Ethiopia, they are actually reforesting 35,000 the forest. Sikhs in India, they are planting 1 million trees all over the world. Ecotourism going on in Japan. Botanic garden in Qatar. That is more interesting and fascinating because they set up a Quranic botanic garden in Doha. That means all over this Quran and Hadith and Sunnah, there are the 60 plant species mentioned.
Yeah.
And Qatar, what Qatar did, they actually plant all those things in their Quranic botanic garden in Doha. And there are a lot of, and those trees are mainly desert plant or some Mediterranean plant or some tropical tropical plants. So these are a part of the World Environmental Day activity. But we always need to keep in mind that we have got a COP26 coming, and the whole world, at this moment, there is a 51 billion greenhouse gas emission at this moment, which need to go down to zero emissions. That is the backup in our mind. So we need a net zero carbon within 50 years.
Who are the culprits causing all this? The industrialized nations?
Their industrial nations are giving the more, But what we did, we actually, spell out where this greenhouse gas emission is coming out. Making things like cement, steel, plastic is contributing 31%. Plugging in, like electricity, these are contributing 27%. Growing things, plant animals, and these are 19% is contributing, So getting around, like plane, train, and everywhere, ships contributing 16%. And keeping warm, heating, cooling, refrigerations is contributing 7%. So we now know where this greenhouse gas is coming. Whoever is emitting, we are not looking at it. Rather, we are looking at
the other
actually
person.
where it's coming from. And that should be in back of our mind when we celebrate Environment Day, Earth Day, Health Day,
Right. So if we change the source of energy, the traditional source of energy, sustainable source of energy, if we use more solar power, wind farms, then perhaps hydropower, then perhaps things will get better. But I have one question. How is it that many African countries are doing better than many other industrialized countries when it comes to corona? The pandemic has not impacted there so much.
So much, yeah. That is, there are several other factors which playing a part about the transmission of this virus, because where there is a 40 to 80% humidity, it is found that the transmission rate is low. This viral transmission rate is low. That is one of the things. And another thing, there are a lot of other technological things is going on. You will find this corona in Dhaka, as for example in Bangladesh, Dhaka city has higher than a village level.
Right.
So it's higher because the corona transmission depends on several other factors. Aerosol particles and a lot of other industrials. That are carrying actually corona because it is 125 nanometer and it can easily, can go with the particulate matters and if there is a less, humidity, then it can travel more. More humidity, less traveling.
Yeah, but so why things are different in Delhi, which has got 22 million people living there? That is slightly different.
Yeah, that is in India. They are thinking the cluster case because when coronavirus started evolving, at the very beginning, in Bangladesh, it is evolving as an as a community transmission rate. But still, comparatively, Bangladesh is lower in terms of India. If you look at the death statistics, because we have to compare like for like.
Yeah, it's pretty low. It's pretty low.
Yeah, it's a like for like. So the India is approximately 118 per 1 million, but in Bangladesh approximately 55 per 1 million population death. So you can see that there is a better condition in Bangladesh, even though there is a community transmission going on there. But in India, some places much higher because there is a cluster transmission there. So that is the WHO actually classify in that way.
With the oncoming of summer in Bangladesh and in India, see, because summer comes earlier there. The temperatures are now about between 20 and 25 there. We are also heading towards summer. The official summertime is here.
Yeah.
And with this pandemic raging across Europe, do you think that we have prepared ourselves well? I mean, we are still going through the motions of vaccines and vaccines being taken, and some, as you said that and I said that, is being delayed in many areas. So are we really prepared for it? Are we up to it, or are we in for more trouble?
Actually, we have to be cautiously optimistic, because we have to careful about this transmission, because it's a virus, and it can transmit. And one of the things that B117 that people are thinking now, and a lot of journal already reported that if it can goes to the wild mice, then it can come to our house through cat. And then we have to vaccinate cat. Otherwise, we'll be again infected from the cat, in our house. That is the way this virus is started moving now. So we have to be careful. We have to monitor, and vaccine is, at least vaccine can,
Can hay fever influence the transmission of corona? Hay fever during summer?
Hay fever. Yes, it can, but it is just like, because virus need a living cell. That is the thing. But it can go, say, a couple of hours. It can carried by the pollen.
Yep.
It can carried over by the aerosol that is already found in Italy. That this coronavirus can travel using this aerosol particle, because aerosol particle is approximately 10 micrometer diameter, or even 2.5 micrometer diameter, and this corona is approximately 125 nanometer. That is the size of this corona. So it can travel like a couple of hours, but it ultimately needs a cell in order to duplicate. And during the process of duplications, if there is an error happen, then it will do some sort of mutation.
Dr. Kannan, I have a last question for you. This coronavirus, is it destroying only human beings and our intake of oxygen, the power to intake oxygen? Is it also destroying any other living organism? Is it impacting on something different?
But in living organisms, it's what is happening that is found in Colorado State University research. That is research. They have found in other living organism that virus can mutate quickly in a day. Because dog, cats, when we inject this virus inside this cat or dog in a lab conditions, and they have found that within a day it can mutate many times. But they have got some sort of, they can survive quickly, but some also dying as well. One of the cat died, I know of, and the family whose cat died, that family has got a coronavirus as well, everybody, and their cat also died. So it can, destroy others,
Right. There was news about a tiger in New York Zoo.
Yeah. Yes. That is another story, But they have done a research in Colorado State University, but they have got a much more, survival. They can fight, not like human, because human is not prepared for it yet, But some, it depends on our immune system, our genetic makeup. It varies, because some people have got a coronavirus and they are surviving, nothing happened, and some are dying, So.
Well, Dr. Kannan, as long as there is knowledge, there is hope. Thank you very much for all your opinions and your information that you have given so much. Thank you very much again, and we'll see you again sometime in future. Thank you, viewers, for being with us. We hope that you enjoyed the show as much as we have. Same time, same channel, soon. But in the meantime, Ramadan Kareem, have an enjoyable Ramadan. Blessings of Ramadan. Please remember us in your prayers. Thank you.
Thank you.